Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So we have a declutter. This looks like a haul, but it's a declutter. We're just kind of feeling overwhelmed, maybe is the right word, with our collection a little bit, and the things not being used and the things that we kept keeping around for no reason. So we decided we were gonna fix that. So yeah, if you're interested to see what all we decluttered, then just keep on watching. Alright, first we're gonna start with eyeshadow. Now none of these are like that new, just one of them is, so that's kind of good that they're all a little bit like older in our collection that I don't feel as like guilty getting rid of, like, oh, I bought this and wasted money. But the first two we're gonna get rid of are two of the e.l.f. Bite Size palettes. I literally never use these and I always want to, but I'm just not that girl. So we're decluttering the Truffles one, which is the cool tone one. I've actually bought this one twice because the first one shattered. It's actually that Truffle and the Rosewater one are my favorite of the two, or of the Bite Size palettes. It's just I don't find myself dipping into here for these cool tones. No, I find myself going elsewhere. Yeah, other cool tone palettes, especially now with the Melt Mary Jane. We don't need it. And then also Cream and Sugar, which is the other neutral one. So we kept some of the more colorful ones, and then Carnival Candy, the one with the pukey brown in it, because that brown is just divine. Yeah. We're also getting rid of this palette from Dollface Beauty. We got sent to this in PR. It's called the Pretty Little Gems palette. We did a couple looks for them with this palette, and I mean it's full of really gorgeous jewel tone shimmers. The formula is nice. There's nothing inherently wrong with these. It's just not our style. They're not super vibrant. So this is kind of like subtle color, and I think a lot of people would actually really enjoy this, but it's just not something that we need to keep around, and I don't find myself gravitating towards this. In the same respect, this is a single shadow from Estate Cosmetics. This is the shade Pipe. Estate sent us a PR package as well, and this is just like a copper metallic shadow. And while I have no problem with single shadows that you can like take out of the packaging and put in magnetic palettes, these shimmers are just they're like a satin metallic. I think a lot of people would like these. It's just this seems like an outdated concept to me. Yeah, and the color is just not something that we gravitate towards. And we have two pumpkin-y oranges from JD Glow that I would reach for over this. Yeah, I mean I could see somebody loving this as a one and done look. That's what I did with these shadows when they sent us them, but yeah, it's not something we need to literally hang on to. I am going to pass on my Oma Beauty Black Magic Carnival palette. So I've used this a handful of times, and the shimmers are really pretty. I just wish it was different colors. So that's the problem I'm having with it, is every time I want to dip into it, I struggle trying to find a cohesive look other than like the browns with the green, or like more neutral colors, like with the yellow and the orange and the pink. Like I don't really love any of the shimmers for that combination, and I just think somebody else would get more use out of this, and I don't want it to sit in our collection and just collect dust. I would rather, it's been touched twice, so I'd rather give it to somebody that's actually gonna love on it. In the same respect, we are finally letting her go. End of an era. The Dose of Colors Desi and Katie Friendcation palette. We do have a few pans in this palette. We used TF out of, what's this one called? Just a Kiss. These were like such an introduction to into those textured shimmers. Yes, and so I adored this palette. But it's outlived its time in our collection. Every time I use it, I still love it. But every time I use it is like twice a year, so it's really not worth keeping around. And it was limited edition anyway, so yeah. It's like a heartbreaking thing to let go of that, but I have not dipped into that since my boyfriend and I's 1 year anniversary, which was a year ago. I dipped into it once for 25 Days of Eyeshadow. Yeah, pretty much. The only times we use it are when we are actively trying to use it, and while I don't mind doing that, it's not something, like, that should not be the only criteria in order to keep a palette around, is force yourself to use it, you know? Yeah, and we used it enough, I feel okay with, you know. Oh, sorry. No, you're okay. And then we are getting rid of two more eyeshadow palettes. This is the ColourPop Smoke Show palette, or Blow and Smoke now. I don't want to let go of this because I love the shimmers in here, and I just love this color story just to look at, and I like wearing it, but it's not something I dip into often because of that. And I haven't used it. If I look at it too long, I will keep it, so I'm just going to put it down now. Because I'm so drawn to that concept. But when I go for cool tones, I go for cool tone blues or cool tone browns. I don't generally go for just black, gray, and white. So while I think that I love that as a monochromatic palette, it's just not something I'm using very often. And then this is one that I actually do like. This is the Milani Gilded Coast palette. But since purchasing this, we have now found some cool tone palettes that I reach into more. And while this one is good, it is still drugstore quality, if you know what I mean. So like the shimmers, while they look really gorgeous on the eyes, they're really thin. They don't wear as well because of that. So I just think it's time to let this go and yeah, pass it on to a different home, because I really have been enjoying the Melt Mary Jane, and then we have Natasha Denona Biba. We have a bunch of cool tone stuff, so I just don't need to be hanging on to those. Yeah. Let's move on to some complexions. So we just have a couple like minis. So this is the Tarte Maracuja. It's covered in brown something. I don't want that. And then just like a hair left of this It Cosmetics mini CC cream. I want to be that person that uses minis, but I'm really not. So not those minis. I like small, like travel sizes. I don't like a mini like 1 or 2 time use product. I just will not use it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna toss those because they were free anyway, gift with purchase. And then I will be decluttering my e.l.f. Camo CC cream. This is in the shade medium 355W. This is far too dark for me. This actually might match me today because my tan is developing, so I'm like darker than normal. But yeah, it's so full coverage that it's hard for me to mix this into products. Like, so I'm not against repurchasing this just in a lighter shade. Vic did buy this for me for Christmas. And the shade was just too off, and I can't really get much use out of it. The one I bought for myself almost matches her pretty much. We have a backup of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Concealer. This is in the shade, I don't know, very light. This, Vic's panning one right now. We don't want to go through another. I already panned 2, I think. I just don't want another one of these, and we just need to get it away. And it's a good concealer. It's just not... It's just not my favorite anymore. Yeah. So now we're going into the face palette category. So this is the Too Faced Cocoa Contour Kit. I do actually really like this. Like, this makes a really gorgeous blush, and these contour shades work really well. This one is too deep, but we used it a lot for faux freckles and like cleaning up under our contour. I just don't typically jump into this anymore because I don't use powder at all, like almost any powder products. So that's really bad on that. The only powder product I tend to use now is a powder highlighter. But anything other than that, I barely use powder bronzer anymore. So there's just no use in hanging onto this contour kit. Plus we have the Kaleidos contour kit, and I kind of prefer that color and tone over this one. Yeah. And the Dior one, which I use often. And then I am actually this time gonna get rid of the Noblik Glimmer Lights face palette. I really do like the way that this performs, and like the impact it has on the cheeks. It's like they're all very glittery blushes, which is kind of off-putting, but like this hot pink one has like blue sparkle in it. I live on my cheeks. But I clearly don't live for it that much because I don't grab anything that much. And they're kind of like a putty texture, so sometimes they're really hard to pick up on a brush, on a sponge, and this highlight shade is gorgeous. But again, I'm not reaching into this as a face palette. I love the color story, I love the concept of this, but I'm not using it, so I'm letting it go. Alright, I'm struggling so hard with this one because I adore it. This is the Pixi Rach Loves highlighting palette. This is by far my favorite powder highlight formula. It's gorgeous. Of all time. But I don't use highlighter, period, as of right now. Every so often I'll dip into like my Salt New York highlights or my Iconic Linen liquid highlight, but most days I don't highlight at all. Like, I didn't highlight today. I don't plan on highlighting tomorrow. You know, I'm not a big fan of it right now. So this, I'm just gonna pass on because I have friends that love a blinding highlight, and I'm sure that they would get a ton of use out of this palette. And I think it was like beautifully done. I do think, you know, it's not the most inclusive palette, but it was also in collaboration with Rach Loves, which is a white YouTuber, so I don't really expect her to have bunch of deep highlights and her perfect highlighting palette, but I like the customization you can do, and I like this little lavender color, and it's such a nice formula for powder highlights, but I don't highlight in the same respect. This is the, MAC Hyper Real Glow palette. I don't know what one it is. It's the pinky one. This is such a beautiful formula. If you can get me to dip into a pink highlight, you know it's good. Because I don't wear a pink highlight.
These are like subtle pinks, which I love. They have a little more rosiness.
Oh my god, yes. And then this one is more gold on the end here. This is one, oh my god, I'm so dirty. This is, again, one of the best powder highlight formulas on the market, in my opinion. We got this at a TJ Maxx, I think, so we actually got it pretty cheap. But it's just outlived its time in our collection. We have Kaleidos sent us all of their highlighters, and we didn't keep all of them, but we still have a ton.
Those are the ones I tend to gravitate towards.
Same with Odin's Eye.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're recognizing we don't need to continue. It's okay. We can get rid of things. It's okay.
Yeah. So this is not the Natasha Denona Bloom Blush and Glow. It has one shade in there. The other little thing in here is one of those Milk Makeup oil sticks, which I'm really pissed that we put in here.
It broke.
Because it broke, yeah. And then I tried to like make a lipstick blush, and none of it really worked out. Like this one works okay or whatever, but not really in this form. So it's just time to let this go. Like we were just keeping the packaging around with the deep blush in there, and we haven't been using it that way.
Yeah.
Another one. This is like the end of an era for me.
Oh,
this is the Makeup Revolution Incandescent Highlight Quad. Oh, look at those pans, buddy. I love this, and I tried to pan this last year, but was unsuccessful, clearly. I have a ton of product left. But this is one of the most blinding highlight formulas ever. Like, I just think it's so gorgeous on the skin. I have no problems with this. I just don't find myself reaching into it anymore, which is really sad. But I also feel that some of the highlights, like this white one specifically, the formula has changed on it. It's really, really dry and doesn't have as much payoff as it used to. That, or I'm just more picky now. Maybe that's it. But yeah, it's time to let this go. It's old as dirt, and I don't think it's even available for purchase anymore, so.
All right, and we went through and we did a like more powder blush kind of clean out. We don't really own that many powder blushes anymore, but we're trying to kind of go through and pick out the ones that we really don't need, that we're not going to use. So 2 of these are from Odin's Eye, and they did send these to us, and I do love, love, love the formula. I just use cream blushes daily, and that's really the reality of it. We've only used these like once or twice, so they're pretty much untouched, and somebody else would love them. So this one is the shade Apricot Girl, which is a matte blush. It's just like a nice like peachy shade, you know, what
everybody loves.
And then this one is Water Lily, which this one was hard for me to get rid of. This one has a little bit of shimmer running through it. It's this beautiful like rich, like
almost
burnt
toasty, but red and pink at the same time. Oh,
so pretty. So we kept one of our Odin's Eye powder blushes. We put the rest of them in a giveaway because we recognized as they came in, we're not going to use all of these, and we're definitely not going to get enough use out of them to justify keeping them to ourselves. Like,
so we had kept 3 initially, and now we're just going to keep one.
We're going to keep one because it's a more unique shade to our collection, and well, I'm so grateful that they send things over, but just because a brand sends us PR doesn't mean we have to keep it. So
it's hard to have that mindset too. Like when you get all those things, you're like, oh, I want to touch it, I want to look at it, but you gotta like step back, think about it for a minute. But anyway, we have a few more single blushes. This is the JCat Blush Mellow, and thank you very much. I actually do enjoy this blush. It's like a kind of like a ColourPop Super Shock, almost. It's like a cream to powder formula, and I like the color a lot. Rachel doesn't tend to love this blush very much. It doesn't work for her, and it works fine for me, but I don't find myself dipping into it all that often, just kind of every once in a while. So I don't really have any ties to this making me cling onto it any longer. Yeah. This one was kind of hard to let go. This is from Folly Fire. This is their Blush and Guilty. This is the best cool tone blush for me. Like, it just makes everything pull together. It's very monochromatic. But I get what I wanted from this out of Spice from Salt New York, and so that's like a cream version basically. So it's just, I don't need this any longer, and yeah. I love the packaging though, this little like, it's so cute. And last blush here, this is Burt's Bees Toasted Cinnamon. Yeah, we don't need it.
Then we have two highlights. Another is from Volley Fire. This is in the shade Snow Queen. It's like just like an icy iridescent kind of color.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have that much of a glow to it. It's more of a satin, like it's almost like a setting powder with a blue hue to it, you know? It's not super intense or whatever. We did get this in PR as well, but it's just not something we're gonna reach for. And
now that we have our, I was keeping this around specifically for like an inner corner highlight, or if I wanted to wear a blue highlight, but now that we have the Kaleidos one, I much prefer that formula and the texture in that one, so there's no use in clinging on to this one.
And then this is a highlight from Estate. This is in Do Me.
It's fine. It's just like a baked highlighter.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a little bit softer than a baked highlighter, and it's like less scratchy than most of the ones I've tried. And it's definitely more subtle in terms of your highlight, which is also something I appreciate. But this is far too icy for something I would wear on the day-to-day.
They did send us a pink one that I kept around because I like that color, and with that formula it makes for a really nice blush topper.
Yeah, I think that my goal in the future is to kind of check around when a brand's like, hey, can we like send you some products? Like maybe I should go through your site and make sure I would actually use any of them. Because I feel like sometimes we get sent stuff and I'm immediately like, oh, yeah, I'm not gonna use that. Thank you though, like, not for my preference. So I need to do that more going forward, not like we're just like, you know, drowning in emails or anything, but that'd be great if you want to drown us in emails. We also have two different Stila liquid shadows. One is in Into the Blue, which is like a duochrome, and then this one is Psychic, and this is the like weird like iridescent formula. I don't love the little iridescent formula. This one was all fine and well, but we don't use.
We don't be using liquid eyeshadows.
Not like this. Like the Danessa Myricks ones, yes. These glittery toppery ones, no. Because you know, we've got a beautiful palette full of beautiful things like Cleona that I would much prefer to dip into than a stupid liquid glitter.
And then we are getting rid of one of the Raw Beauty Kristi and ColourPop glosses. The pink one. I can't read that.
I hate the formula of these.
I don't mind the formula, but it's not anything special in my opinion, and I haven't touched this since we got it. So there's no purpose in keeping it around. As well as we got 3 Estate products. I think this one's a gloss and then 2 liquid lipsticks. The formula isn't bad on these. There's nothing inherently wrong with them, but they feel very cheap, wholesale. And they smell weird, in my opinion.
I love one of the glosses they sent us. I love the color of, so I kept it, but they smell kind of plasticky.
Like plastic vanilla. I don't like that at all. It just, yeah, it feels cheap. It doesn't feel like a product that I would want to keep around for a liquid lipstick. And the colors are nothing that special. So.
Yeah, nothing to write home about. As in emails. But that is all for our declutter today. I think we did fairly well. I feel like I only have 2 concealers, I think, now, and so I didn't declutter any of my concealers, but I don't have that many foundations either. I just got a couple new skin tints. We do need to just get better on eyeshadow more than anything, but eyeshadow I feel less guilty hoarding. I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
And the rest of the ones in our collection we do
fairly regularly.
Feel strongly towards, at least. Like the ones that we got rid of, while they have good emotional ties and things, we knew we were hanging on to them for no reason.
And we've said this before, but you get this kind of YouTuber guilt where it's like, oh, I've recommended this to people. If I declutter it, I'm a bad person. Like, I shouldn't declutter something that I've recommended. Well, that's not how that works. It's not how that works.
Opinions change, preferences change. What I want around, even if I enjoy it, does not mean I have to keep it around. Like, I can appreciate a formula and a color and not have to keep it around forever because I know it's not something I'll use often.
Yeah, so that's all for our little declutter today. So, but if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Comment down below, you know, whatever you feel like, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Bye.